Embodied Performance Podcast, episode 39. I'm Nick Markey, Beach Barbell, Physical Therapy and Strength Training in Wilmington, North Carolina. Very soon having our own gym. We have a launch promo and charity drive until November 1st. If you join before then, check out beachbarbell.com for details. So on today's Transformation Thursday, going to talk about what's the worst that can happen. So I'm speaking from experience on this. When you're new to sort of this business, small business, entrepreneur, networking type situation, you got to get your name out there. Get awareness and attention to, who you are and what you do. And also, why you, what's unique about you? Why should they do business with you over another person? Now, obviously, if you have a service or product that there really isn't out there, then that's probably at least your initial unique selling proposition. But if you don't, say that you're a trainer or physical therapist or chiropractor or financial advisor, accountant, there's plenty of professionals out there in your area probably doing that too, unless you live in a super small town. Anyways, so you got to get your name out there. You got to meet people. So there's various things, there's probably networking events like here in Wilmington. We have several different kinds. There's more kind of business type networking where, it's more focused. There's just community events, just type outreach type things. But you got to go meet people, and you got to meet people you don't know. Now, very well, your first few customers could be a lot of the people you do know, which is fine. But, eventually you're going to have to expand that scope out. So you could start a little easier with people that know the people that are close to you. So maybe they're kind of second order people of, who you know. But probably still, you'll still have to eventually meet people you don't know. So me being more of an introvert, going into places where there's a whole bunch of people I don't know, my first instinct isn't to go run up to the first person I don't know and say, hey, what's going on? I'm Nick. I do training and physical therapy, yada, yada, yada. It's kind of just be more reserved and hang back and, probably find people I do know to go talk to, but that kind of defeats the purpose of those networking events. The whole point is that you meet new people. So one kind of, interesting question you could ask yourself would be, what's the worst that can happen? I go introduce myself, I say, hi, I'm such and such, I do this. And then they, tell you who they are and what they do. Either you strike it up and have a little bit of a conversation with each other, or, it just doesn't go anywhere else and it falls flat or whatever. But okay, so you met somebody and you got a practice rep in, just like lifting weights. You got a rep in, and, you can say, okay, cool. Well, it's nice to meet you. I'll see you around. And then you go find another person. So, at the end of the day, there's probably people just like you at these events. I mean, there are the outgoing people who probably actually get invigorated and enjoy bouncing around, meeting new people. But, there's probably a lot of people like you, introverts, that, really like what they do, but maybe necessarily aren't the biggest fans of that whole going out networking thing. So asking yourself, what's the worst that can happen? Chances are you guys are both thinking the same thing, that oh, best case scenario, you guys will hit it off and have a good conversation for 5 or 10 minutes, and trade cards, whatever. Maybe you know somebody, and the middle thing that might happen might just be you introduce each other and the conversation doesn't really go anywhere, maybe fizzles out, and it's okay. So you don't spend a whole lot of time there and just move on. And, worst case scenario, I don't know, this probably would never happen, but maybe they ignore you. They say, nah, no thanks, and then turn around. Now, yeah, that would be, embarrassing, but barring, that is probably the worst thing that could potentially happen in that situation. Now, will that happen? Probably not. I mean, they're at the networking event doing the same thing you're doing, so they probably wouldn't be rude, even if they don't like you. They'd probably at least smile to your face and, shake your hand and, introduce themselves. So you can kind of use this. You can use it in other situations, obviously, though. What's the worst that can happen? I use that, and I also use what I've talked about before, the identity change, when I'm, needing to go in to talk to strangers to, kind of introduce, who I am and what I do. But, maybe you have before you go in kind of, and I got this from Catherine Blackwell Mental Performance, but, do a visualization of the best case scenario, like you go in, they're like excited to meet you, they shake your hand vigorously, they're all pumped about you coming in there saying hi, and then, do a visualization of what's the worst thing that can happen. And sometimes you can take that to just absurd levels. Try to even make yourself laugh about it, like really go over the top of like this, terrible situation, and so over the top that it's just ridiculous and, humorous. You make yourself laugh, kind of break the tension that you're feeling. And then when you go in, it probably won't be at that worst case scenario. So it'll feel good kind of no matter where it goes, like if you kind of expect the worst and then go in and do it, you'll at least be, most likely be surprised, because it probably won't be the worst. It's, obviously there are some people that have, very severe social anxiety. So for them, I think you're going to need professional help to help figure that out. But I think majority of people that don't necessarily have that severe level, but just are maybe uncomfortable or very nervous about going out there, make that what's the worst that can happen ridiculous scenario, make yourself laugh about how silly that is. And then, when you go in, you're expecting the worst. And then when you just say hi and then they say hi back, you'll be like, oh, okay. They're not yelling at me to get out or slapping my hand away or something like that. So I think that could be a very fun exercise to help kind of get you ready. So obviously this has other applications. I mean, you could apply this to lifting, kind of visualizing what's the worst that can happen with, the movement or lift you're about to make. Now, again, since if you're doing certain exercises, you can be putting yourself in a challenging situation. So obviously picking the right challenge is, the first thing, not going way beyond what you can handle, like you're just trying a little bit more than you did, prior. But yeah, you can do a similar thing, kind of visualize, probably not necessarily like a ridiculous scenario, but just kind of like, well, what if this happens or that happens? Just so your mind's kind of ready for it. But it kind of goes, ultimately this kind of goes into that visualization type exercise, whether you're doing, perfect scenario or whether you're doing, worst case, almost sometimes ridiculous scenario. But that could be a helpful thing to try to get your mind in a perhaps more ready or potentially higher performance state, because you're already activating things that are going to be kicking in when you're doing, this activity. Like, if you're thinking, you're nervous or maybe a little anxious about going in to meet all these people at this networking event or whatever, you do a worst case scenario. So you're probably kicking in, the fear centers in your brain and other centers like that. And then you're already getting some exposure to it. So to help you adapt to it. And like I said, if you have severe social anxiety, you may just need to work on it with, a professional, as opposed to maybe just the majority of people that just have, a little bit of nervousness or anxiousness around these situations, maybe just more introverted type people. But it's about getting reps. So, obviously the best reps are the reps doing the thing you want to do, but there are some good advantages to getting the reps, just visualizing it. So exposing yourself to that, scary challenge or whatever. Okay. So I think that'll be good for today's Transformation Thursday. Again, I'm Nick Markey of Beach Barbell Physical Therapy and Strength Training. Building out our gym over the next week or so. Hopefully it'll be open very, very soon. We have our launch promo and charity drive until November 1st. Please check out beachbarbell.com if you are interested. And I hope you have a great day. Thank you. Bye.